special thanks to Salve Regina for this wonderful venue and for the Environmental Club here, as well as the Newport Energy and Environment Commission for helping us put this together. And big thank you to everybody here on the panel who took some time from their evening to come out. I'm going to turn it over to some quick remarks from Rebecca Longo from the Salve Environmental Club.
Hi. Hello, I'm the president of the Environmental Club here at Salve. We're an organization that promotes sustainability on campus. Here we see through beach cleanups we do, all different events on campus, really the impact that fossil fuels and non-clean energy sources have on our environment. And I mean, just going to school here to really show me how being part of the cultural community, you have to be the initial people in promoting the sustainability and clean energy.
Kind of late in the game, distributed generation, these long-term contracts has been a real game changer in our state. It's because it really has created a sustainable, renewable energy sector that Rhode Island really hadn't had before. So I think this is just the beginning of where we can see solar, which is why it's imperative that we get business, government, policy people working together. We have some of the lowest cost solar projects in the region.
I think why solar is important, I think what most of the people in this room know, for climate change. It's also important for our economy. And I know everyone thinks that Rhode Island is so far behind, but we've really just begun with some serious and really good solar incentives. And I don't think us installers and some of our other government employees did a very good job this year letting everyone else know that there was money available for solar electric systems out there and other renewable energy systems.
$5 million.
Half of the fund wasn't even used this year. So there's a lot of money left on the table. So we could have done twice as good as we did this year.
Efficiency is where we've really been putting a lot of our clean energy resources in.
One of the challenges is to think back to what happened in 2009. So I was part of the General Assembly at that time and responsible for this. So I'll take credit for doing something bad. We did. We got rid of the tax credit, which was a bad thing. So while we might be, and I realize the technology is there from an engineering perspective, high-end PV, high-end photovoltaic stuff has been around for a few years now. We could have been a little further along than we are. Another piece of bad news, but it's all good news now, so we talk about one of the bad news piece. When the whole American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, the ARA funds came out. So before I forget, if you have any questions about, there's Chris in the back. He can talk to you about things from the state. I do want to recognize Representative Finn, who's here as well, represents Middletown and Portland. I just happen to see her there. But from the perspective of the state, the ARA money, the phase 3, and had a very frank discussion, I won't mention his name, who was in that office at the time. There were many applications that were in and approved and selected by the committee that did the selection process back in 2010 timeframe, I think, of their office. Not Governor Chafee, but the governor before, and now if he was sitting here, I'd say it to him as well. Got to the governor's office and he said no. The plans that went, the guidelines said, these are the guidelines for projects that the state will review and fund if appropriate. Got it? People met those guidelines, took all the time. Some of the small businesses here, I'm sure, worked with some of the residential folks, because this is all residential. Got to the governor's desk, and the governor said, yes, yes, no residential. So another piece that kept us behind the 8 ball a little bit. So take away the tax credit. So this costs a lot of money, right? Now we've got some tax dollars there. We had a program at the federal level that was jobs and money in the American Customer, the federal stimulus program, that basically said, yep, we're going to approve all these. No, we're not doing those. For whatever reason, I'm not going to go into the reason here, but those projects weren't funded. So it kept Rhode Island back from where it could have been. Let's fast forward. A lot of good stuff has happened. It is happening based on the work of Marion and Kristen.
Hopping on the residential renewable energy tax credit, which Deb has put forward year after year since it did lapse.
And we'll put it in again next year.
It'll be going in again next year. it would be great to keep all the blame on our politicians, but I think we also share some of the blame as a public. We need to demand that they put it back in place. And it's a great economic bill because it costs some money in tax revenues, but the revenues that are generated from the economic activity of installing these solar projects really benefits the state finances and the economy as a whole. And that's a message that we're responsible for carrying out to our friends and our family to build their support for it as well. We had a good turnout at the bill hearing this year, but it would be great to have everybody in this room here and everybody in this room bring a person with them. I mean, that would be a full room at the State House. That would be great.
Abel, for those here who don't know, could you briefly explain the tax credit?
Sure, it's like a 25% of the cost of the project you get back in your taxes, up to $3,500. So it really incentivizes, it pushes the payback period on solar projects below the threshold where people feel more comfortable